So big news yesterday coming from Jordan Schultz, speculating, or a couple days ago, speculating that Terry McLaurin was and is unhappy about the lack of progress, quote unquote, on a long-term deal. The thing that worried me a little bit at the end, he says McLaurin is entering the final year of his contract. We know that. But he says, quote, talks have been minimal. That got me a little bit worried. But Lynnell, I don't want to put words in your mouth. The thing that had you a little bit worried was Albert Breer joined G&D yesterday. And let's play that here. Albert Breer was on G&D yesterday. Here's what Breer had to say about the McLaurin contract.
Yeah, I don't think it's in a great place right now. If you ask me, like where this is, and I think it's just sort of the, I hate to say normal course of things, but I do think to some degree these things do get bumpy, and I think they've gotten bumpier as the market's exploded over the last couple of years with the cap going up as fast as it has, and so. If you're Terry McLaurin, I think you look at it and you're saying, like, you don't even come to me with anything that doesn't start with a 3. You know what I mean, per year. And I think it's fair of him to ask for something in that range, just based on where the market's gone. Obviously last year Justin Jefferson gets 35, and and CeeDee Lamb gets 34. But like I'd say, the real comp is probably DK Metcalf, who. He gets traded to Pittsburgh, and he gets 33 per year on a 4-year deal. So, I think those comps are out there, and I think they will eventually get something done. Terry, and you guys know this, you don't need me to tell you, Terry's too important to what they've built there. But sometimes these things can get a little messy along the way, and that's sort of where we are right now.
So, to color me concerned at this point would be too strong of a word. But I'm past the point where I'm going to act like this is just nothing. I'm past that point. Because when Albert Breer, Jordan, like I said before the last break, Jordan Schultz, new NFL insider. Albert Breer has done this for years and is one of the most trusted, credible reporters that exists nationally in the NFL. For him to lead off yesterday saying, look, things are not in a great place. Things are probably not in a great place. I'm going to take his word for it. And that is what kind of makes me go, like, damn, I would love to pay to be behind the scenes of these negotiations, because as he said, it is going to get tricky. It is a difficult thing to do. That's why you have an agent negotiate on your behalf. But like I said before we took the last break, Terry McLaurin played this perfectly. And the way last year went for him, it couldn't have gone any better. When he signed his deal last time, he signed a 3-year deal, not a 4 or 5-year deal, because he was an older wide receiver and he wanted the chance to hit the open market again and test free agency and get another payday. When you go out and they're second in the NFL in receiving touchdowns and you have the type of impact that he had last year, you put yourself right at the head of the table. I'm not saying he's got the merit to go out and ask for a Jamar Chase contract, a Justin Jefferson contract, hell, maybe not even a CeeDee Lamb. But as Breer alleged, DK Metcalf, I don't care if he's 28. I don't care if he was 25. I've been better than him over the course of my career in a worse quarterback situation, and my injury history has been better. That's where the negotiations start. Spotrac has him projected 3 years, $100 million with $60 million guaranteed. When DK signed this offseason, he got $60 million guaranteed. I don't know if the holdup is the AAV, which is for DK was $33 million, or the fully guaranteed, which is 60 for DK. So that's what I'm kind of like curious with. What's the holdup here? Why is Adam Peters and company choosing to, in my opinion, kill the good vibes? You went to the NFC Championship game last year. Everything's peaches and roses. Like, you're the flavor of the week right now, and you're putting this like wet blanket over everything. And quite honestly, it's a distraction, because if you're going to pay him, then pay him.
Yeah, I don't think it becomes a distraction until training camp. Mandatory minicamp will give you a little bit of one if he's not there. I don't think it's a huge deal until training camp. If he's not signed by training camp and then he's not showing up, then it's a problem. And then it's something where, to me, you've got to get this done. You have to get this done, because they have done a great job of taking care of their guys and various things. And really, to me, I thought a caller on the Junkies earlier today brought up a great point, that what they've done and all that they've accomplished, if you can't sign Terry, who's so beloved by the fan base, and this isn't to say that every move that a fan base would be fully on board with is something that you should do as a general manager.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, but he had his career year last year. He's incredible for this team. He has a chemistry with Jaden Daniels. all of that stuff plays into the fact too that he's the fan base's top guy. Like
for sure.
Last year in the building against Atlanta, they're chanting Terry, and he didn't do much that game, to be fair.
Well,
but
he didn't.
They're chanting Terry when they're in the red zone, anticipating a touchdown to Terry. They chanted Terry more than they did for JD5. Not to say that Jaden's not now the face of the franchise and taking over as a quarterback, but Terry is so beloved. So if you don't get this done, so much of, like you were saying, the honeymoon period here, it's going to be kind of taken away. And I question some of what they're doing because Deebo Samuel hasn't been as good as Terry the last couple of years. Is that your plan then? That Deebo becomes your wide receiver one? Look,
well, you spent pretty significant draft capital on wideout the last 2 years, a third and a fourth on Luke and Jalen Lane.
Well, and so, we got to see Luke come through.
For sure.
We got to see Jalen Lane come through. So my thing is, Terry McLaurin is your superstar. Get it done. And I think it's going to get done. I'm 99% sure that it's going to get done. But the fact that there's even a 1% is a little bit annoying. I think this is going to blow over in the next month, and it's going to be no big deal. But, again, it's just this has to get done, or I'm going to have some questions about this front office.
It's the art of business. I think, like I said, you say my percentage is too low, but I give it about an 80% chance. That other 20% is I understand that anything can happen in the National Football League. Also, look at the track record of Adam Peters. They played super-duper hardball with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, they played hardball. Ayuk was in the same situation, pretty much. Like, he put up numbers. He was deserving of a new payday, and they dragged out that negotiation with Ayuk last year or 2 seasons ago. And then with Adam Peters, what was the Patriots known for? Getting rid of a guy a year too early rather than a year too late. So maybe, just maybe, like, there's that glimmer of doubt with them as an organization as to who he is and if he's worth that type of money. Now, I think that would be a little foolish on their part, but my whole premise with all of this is we got to stop acting like it's just assuming that it's going to get done because we know nothing. What is this front office showing you since they've gotten to town? Nothing really gets leaked. They're not really telling you how they really feel. So while we think we know how they feel about Terry behind closed doors, when you're in the art of negotiation, you say some things that may hurt your spouse. It's like arguing with your husband or wife, and you're trying to make a good point. You all of a sudden point out that your wife only showers at night, and you want her to be a woman that showers in the morning and at night. So you call it out, now her feelings is hurt because she thinks that you're saying she stinks. That's how this negotiation, I think, is going.
I just think you have to get this done because otherwise you're going to lose a little bit of some of the goodwill with the fan base. Also, when you look at a time that they can pay a receiver, this can link up perfectly where even if you have to go, say you want to say, I want to go 32. You said DK got 33. Say they're arguing for 32 is what they want to give Terry. You can go up to 35. You can go up to 36. You can go up to 37. You have cap space.
No, you do.
Cap space is not a problem. The time to haggle and all that stuff and say, hey, we got a penny pinch here a little. The reason they had to do that with Ayuk is because Purdy was coming up for a contract. Jaden ain't coming up for a contract for another 4 years. And by the way, I would bet Terry probably isn't with this team by the time that Jaden is on his second contract.
I think that's a safe assumption.
Right?
I think that's a safe assumption.
You can pay him. Like that's what I don't understand. Like,
so
what's the holdup?
Is there a philosophical thing here as well with just who they are as an offense? What did we get so frustrated with last year? This isn't, to me, an offense that warrants a receiver dominating targets.
That's fine.
Maybe there is a lack of appreciation or a lack of value with a true number one in this offense because of how they played last year. The targets were spread.
That's fine. I get that. But we've seen time and time again where offenses that lack the true playmakers come up short in big moments because when it comes down to it, you need a dude.
The quarterback's the playmaker. Look at Josh Allen and what he's dealing with right now in Buffalo. I know he's only in that situation because he got paid and they couldn't afford to keep the supporting cast. But I hear what you're saying.
Still
you're
need
not there yet. You're not there.
You need a dude. Like look what San Francisco ran into problems with, right? The system was great, and I get the quarterback. I understand your point there. It's a really valid one. I don't think you have to get to that point though yet with the quarterback on the rookie deal.
I agree.
But like look at where they'd run into where their system was great and they had weapons, but they had shortcomings with their weapons, right? Like the style. I think you need dudes. Like, look at even a Rams at times where the system is great. Whenever I go back to people looking at the system over
just for talking points
over people is Chip Kelly. when he got to the Eagles and he said, it's my system. And so he gets rid of LaShawn McCoy, he gets rid of Deshaun Jackson, and how'd that go for him? You need players in the National Football League, and you build your system around the players. Like your system can have some stuff where you're able to make things work without the players playing at a great level at times. But for the most part, you need your star players to play like stars. You can't get through without having at least one guy that you can really depend on.
Terry McLaurin last year, 22nd in the NFL in targets. 22nd in the NFL in targets. When you think about his contemporaries that are listed in that top 5 AAV, they're all target monsters. So maybe, I don't know. You pick up what I'm putting down when I say that? Like, we saw the way the football was spread around last year to the point where we were almost complaining about it. We were like, why won't they feature Terry? Why won't they make a concerted effort to get him the football? Because that ain't the system. But that doesn't mean that ain't the system.
That doesn't mean don't pay him.
I'm saying maybe there is less of a value on a bona fide number one wide receiver in this offense. It's more about roles that guys play. You need your over the middle guy. You need your deep ball guy. You need your contested catch guy.
You need.
I'm just trying to get into their thought process a little bit, because the main thing that I'm kind of with here is like, if you're gonna pay him, then pay him. What are you waiting for? It's not like you're waiting for a new deal to come out to reset the market. No.
Yes.
You know what his value is. You know what the competition and his peers are making. If you're gonna pay him, then pay him.